All right. Good evening, Arawan, Abusiafo Nyinara, Enyumere. So, Yabada Nyamia CBM for the opportunity or the mind, yet to me, a sign is share BMO a war, Yesika Sam home. This is something it is dear to our hearts because they Nimdia Nyame Ediamaye no. We feel so we need to also share with our friends and our family members, and what we are hoping is day in and day out to be a bishia or habia no discussion be a because to be no. This is something wherever you are be no you are making some changes. Some changes be well was sitting more in terms of yesika sem. In fact, I will share and then you're a very, very busy time. It is the time where no try say, especially what America you are trying say over complete two taxes. Na why be anti tax season or China, Yamia Dumwa, it is the deadline to file for taxes. We are reminding Yena home. If you haven't had a time to do your taxes, this is the time. Say, we'll make sure so you have today and tomorrow being the deadline for you to file your taxes. If you have to mail it, you need to mail it. If you're doing it electronic, you can also go ahead and do it. So this is just a reminder. But you may know, you say your ma your TFO na kwaba baby I will share every beer no either online radio and as YouTube or Facebook. You say you take this opportunity when yama kwaba and so yabama Dr. Wanso Akwaba say and you marry. I know sir it's been a busy day, a hectic day for him, but we're making a time for us to be here. Dog, yeah, yɛbɛma wakɔnya na at least no wa welcome yɛtie for so.
Busafo, as always, no, and out of love and kindness of our hearts, and it's complimentary information to help you guys to be able to help you improve and maintain, your financial matters. So, as always, we are happy to be here and share with you all information. So, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Abusiafo nso yɛbɛma obi bia afei na wajoin nso a yɛpɛ sɛ yɛma wakɔ aba too and yɛdwumadie no. Last week in Nyame Adom, we started on a topic, and a topic was to do with the difference between infants savings and investment. Sometimes we tend to use the term interchangeably, but at least when you look at it carefully, there is some slight distinction. Until we spent some time last week trying to differentiate between the two. As an individual and as a family, what can you do? What are some of the things that you need to do? Because definitely, we need to save. It is needed. One of the things that we established is unless you are self-employed. But if you are being employed by somebody, nobody is guaranteed. You might have a job today, tomorrow that job is gone. And even if you are self-employed, your business might be flourishing today. And we saw that during the pandemic, all these small business owners, yes, business was flourishing, but within just a twinkle of an eye, we saw things going downhill. So what do you do if you lose your job? What do you do if you're self-employed? Now business starts to say, cut down. What are some of the things that you need to do? You still need to pay the bills. You still need to pay your mortgage. You still need to pay that credit card bills. So, before that happens, we need to save. And once we save, we also need to invest to make sure, if that unfortunate situation, at least we have something that we can rely on, something that we can depend on to get by before we find another job or before your business now are rebounded back and these are some of the things that we do. Dog, if there's certain things maybe last week you can't want someone that comes into mind. This is the first time we're joining. They can also get something out of it.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction and I guess the question. So as far as last week, just kind of brief recap. We discussed the difference between savings and investments, and as Brother Sim already mentioned, savings are extremely important. Because God forbid something happened to you, you lose your job or something like that, and if you don't have savings, you can imagine the level of impact it can have on your family, right? But if you have savings, it's able to give you a buffer for a period of time while you get back on your feet. Okay, so it gives you peace of mind, it gives you confidence, and it gives you, like I said, really the biggest thing is the peace of mind, knowing that if anything happens, you can cover yourself for a few months to get back on your feet, right? We also mentioned that savings alone is not enough to get you to your financial freedom, right? Because when you save money, the money can only grow so fast, right? You see what I'm saying? So, in order to really explode the growth of your money, you need to invest, right? You also want to make very, very sure that the money you are investing is not the same thing you consider as the money you're saving, right? Because investments and savings are very, very different. When you're saving, you are saving for the purpose of whenever I go back, that money needs to be there. The full amount needs to be there, right? It means that you're assuming that there's no risk, right? On the other hand, with investments, when you invest money, your desire is for the money to grow or for you to get some type of return on that money, right? So whenever you are hoping to get some kind of return on that money, automatically there's an assumption of risk involved in that, right? So you want to make sure that you separate your investor money and you separate your savings money, because at any one time, you want to be able to access your savings, and because your investments are going up and down, depending on what you're investing in, you can't really rely on investments for the short term, emergency needs. You want to have a savings account for those things. Yeah, so this will mute.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc, for that great information. From last week, and as we said, and you rightly said, and a lot of the mistakes a lot of us we make, and it's mixing up savings and investment. So we make some mistakes, and I have seen parents where they're trying to save up for Omoma education, college fund, yeah, there. And the next thing you know, in fact, depending on what state, some states have very nice savings programs. You can utilize that to help you save up for your college, your institution, yeah, there, And even, for example, if I want to buy a house, like 3 years from now, I need to save for like a down payment. Is this the time where I'm going to put that money in stocks? And I say, it wouldn't be the ideal situation for you to do that, because like you said, we need that money to be safe, and we need the full amount, at the time when we need it. Into the purpose of your friend is saying, at the same way, from last week, this week, back to us, is just to remind ourselves and also to be able to differentiate between these two things, and we'll make the right decisions going forward. One of the things as Ghanaians or Africans, mistakes we make, and it's even when we're looking at like investment, we want the return like right away, right away. And if I have like 5,000, I put it somewhere in within a month or two. I'm hoping that it will double, but it doesn't work that way. We just want to educate ourselves. So we get out of that mindset and it's investment in my yield will be overnight. No, this is not a miracle. Your friend is no, it takes time and it takes patience for you to exercise that patience. Eventually, you will pay off, but when we don't know. So, we need to also pay attention to that. So, and Nyamiadom, we want to go a step further into knowing some of the investment vehicles which are out there, which we can capitalize on and also use to our own advantage, So we'll start with like the bare minimum. My first question, Doug, before we get into that, is should everyone invest? Is investment built for like anybody, or not? Is it just for some specific people? They need to invest, and the rest of us, just sit there and hope it's manna will fall from heaven.
So the question was, should
it's
everybody, right?
Yeah,
should everybody invest, right? Well, let me put it to you like this: without investing money, right, it's extremely difficult to be able to achieve financial freedom. You cannot save your way to financial freedom. You have to invest your way to financial freedom, right? And the type of investment that you make is really depend on the kind of person that you are, whether you are risky or you are risk averse, right? And obviously, the more risk averse you are, the slower or the longer it would take, for that money to grow, right? But also the more risky you are, right? You can find some lucrative opportunities, but you also have to understand that there's a high level of risk. You can also lose your money, right? So to answer your question, yes, in my personal opinion, I think everybody should invest to a certain degree that suits them, right? The type of investment that I may be interested in may not be suitable for you, and vice versa, right? Based on many factors, right? Like your age, how much, what is your overall financial picture? Do you have any savings already? Do you have an emergency account? How much are you making? What are your expenses? What is your time horizon? When you want to, be financially free? How much money you want to have to consider yourself as financially free? There's so many different factors that go into making a determination. But like I said, long story short, I do strongly believe that everybody should put themselves in position to be able to invest in a smart way, right? That suits their own investor, DNA. So definitely, I think, and if you're not sure about what to invest in or what you invest in DNA, you can do your own background research. You can also sit down with a financial professional, right, who has the expertise and knowledge base to be able to guide you. You see what I'm saying? So, and in making that decision, also, you have to be careful, right? Because you want to make sure you find an advisor that is suitable for you, right? That can kind of give you exactly what you're looking for. So,
yeah, perfect. Thank you so much for that explanation. In fact, as we all know, at some point we'll retire. I mean, we cannot work and work till we die. No, at some point we'll retire, and once you retire, you need some sort of income coming in with about sustaining. And a lot of us, it's. I was talking to this couple and about this investment, and the question was, maybe some of the question, do you invest? I'm saying, oh no, we don't invest, we only save and that kind of, And I'm say, okay, so do you have a 401k or 403b? And I'm saying, oh yeah, we have that set up. And I'm say, okay. So some of us, we are already investing, but we don't even know we are investing. Because to them, 401k, 403b, 457, they think that it's a form of your friend's a savings account. And I'm saying, no. Just think about it, sir. Right now, if you decide, whatever you have in your 401k or 403b, and if you want to take that money out, just look at the taxes, the penalties, near you incur for that,
Yeah.
And you have authorized your company, sir, at your every paycheck, you enter this amount.
Yep.
The company is also paying some brokers, on your behalf to invest that money, for you.
Yep.
Yes. To start, I always tell people, sir, investment at some point you need to do a level of investment, because we cannot live from depend on your paychecks on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis or a monthly. We cannot depend on that for survival, especially in this country, and especially if we want to do other projects back home near there. We need to have other streams of income, some passive incomes to help us. And people have used investment to excel in so many ways. We look at even Trump. We look at other millionaires around us. And sometimes we are wondering, how are these people making all this money? Whereas we are living from paycheck to paycheck. And the truth is, the investment that they have made, and now right now, it's paying off for them to be able to do the things that they're doing. And yes, at some point, we need to do some level of investment. We are not saying, be aggressive and put all your money out there. No. Small, little by little, and doing certain things on the side will also help to generate some of the income that we need. And my follow-up question, which is a question I wanted us to talk about it, because it's a question that came from the couple. And when I asked that question, the question is, why do we even need to invest? Why?
Well, so as I mentioned earlier, right? That's a good question, and that's a fair question. Why do I need to invest, right? As I mentioned, you cannot save your way to financial freedom, right? You can invest your way to financial freedom. And at the end of the day, right, when you invest, you exponentially grow your money. And when you save, you grow your money at a much, much slower pace, right? For example, put your money in a bank account. Give me 1 second, right? For example, right, put your money in a bank account, right? And go back, let's say a year or two later, right? Let's say you put $10,000 in your bank account, okay? And you go back a year or two later. How much interest would you have on that $10,000, right? And now take the same 10,000. Let's say you put it and you invest in, let's say, some stocks, some bonds, some real estate, some business, whatever, and ETFs, mutual funds, whatever, right? Put the same 10,000, you leave it for, let's just say, same 5, 10, 15 years compared to that savings account. When you go back and look at your account, you see that your money has grown significantly more than what you have, in a savings account, right? There's a reason for that. That's right. So that's why I mentioned earlier, right? And that the math is very easy to do, right? There are, financial calculators you can use to be able to show you, okay, comparing a bank and comparing, what you get from an investment account. If you look at the average bank savings account, right? You're looking at maybe on average 0.05%, right? So if you think about it, obviously as inflation is going up, banks will normally increase their rates to attract people to come and put their money in the bank. But historically, you're looking at maybe like 0.05%. Now, if you actually do the rules of money, that mathematics, it would take you over 1,000 years to double 10,000 to 20,000. You see what I'm saying? Most people don't think about it, but when you do the math, it's evident, it's right there. You see what I'm saying? But when you actually compare that to an investment account, you look at the stock market, right? Since inception, let's just say you look at the market since inception, yes, it goes up, it goes down, right? But on average, it's going up more times than it's going down.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And when you look at the rate of return, on average, it's around anywhere between 8 to 12%, depending on what what you're investing in, right? So now, how can you even compare a 0.05% return to, let's just say, an 8 to 12% return, right? The money grows exponentially much more faster in investing compared to a regular savings, right? Even real estate, right? You put a small down payment for property. You purchase that property. The appreciation of the property over a long period of time alone, right? Number one is going to help you to outpace inflation, and number two, right, when the property is fully paid off, you have a fully paid off property which has appreciated much more than what you pay for compared to the money sitting in the bank. So I mean, you have to really consider what question you're asking and what you're trying to achieve, right? If you have a good amount of savings that protects you from your short-term fall of your emergency account that can give you quick access for emergency, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have all your money in savings, right? You need that money in investment to be able to grow over time, because at the end of the day, you have to look at the rate of inflation, right? Historically, right now we are around like 8%. At one point we were at 10, right? They try to bring it down, but historically it's around between 3 to 4%, right? Now, if your money's sitting in a bank account, earning, let's just say, let's be nice, let's just say 1%.
Right.
And inflation is at 3-point-some%, historically average. Your money can never outpace inflation.
No.
So even the money that you have in a bank, the interest on that money is not outpacing inflation. And on top of that, that interest is taxed.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So the money is extremely hard for that money to grow in a regular banking savings account. It's not designed for that, right? But if you want to be able to outpace inflation and still earn some interest on your money, right, and have a chance to be able to have a peaceful retirement, you have to invest. Obviously, like I said, it also depends on what type of investor that you are. Are you conservative? Are you moderate? Are you aggressive? Everybody's different. You have to determine what type you are, right? And sometimes if you don't know how to determine, like I said, you can sit down with a professional and they can kind of help you kind of run through those numbers, so.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yɛtie fɔ nso sɛ fɛ na wabɛka yɛn nsa wɔ ɛnɛ yɛsika sam ho a yɛpɛ sɛ yɛfa saa akɔnya wei na yɛma wakɔ aba sɛ wanya adagyeɛ na yɛhinaa no yɛsua biribi ɛfa yɛsika sam ho. It is very vital. Da bi a yɛka on sɛ one of the things ɛde asomdwe ɛba efie ɛyɛ sika. On say when money issues are solved, when it's done right, it brings peace to the family, husband and wife. You're able to live peacefully because things are in order. But when bills are piling up, you look at the income which is coming in, it's not even enough to pay for the bills. Here you have, if back home, if they are calling you, they need this, they need that. Adding. So what can we do to be able to minimize some of these stress and you're spending more time talking about some of these things and one or the other it will benefit you. You can also apply it to your daily your friends are living to make some changes, And one of the things I think a lot of people will struggle with the investment, so we are more of like a short-term gain, versus like the long-term. Some of us, it's like, say, okay, I have this 5,000 and this 5,000, I need to double that within this because I have this project that I need to complete and do all this. Forgetting, say, 20 years, 30 years to come, you probably need to retire. And once you retire, now, if you don't have all these things in place, it will be very challenging. Last week, I was looking at one investment, this man is presenting, because every year, because at that time, if you had invested maybe like just minimum of like $2,000, into the stock, and if you had left it there for now, I think it's about like 25 years right now. That $2,000, could have grown up to like 168,000, like right now. So just think about it. And that same 2,000, if you were sitting in a savings account, like you said, 0.05%, sometimes even 0.01%, and that kind of for so 25 years now, I just said you'll be lucky to get like $100 on top of that. I mean, it just and the bank is being generous, giving you that $100, Oh, and that same 2,000, giving you like $168,000. I mean, it is huge. So that's why we are bringing some of this information and awareness, so we know what to do and how to do it. Now, Doug, some of us, we want to play it safe. So there is something out there we call certificate of deposit that sometimes some of us want to play it safe. So we go into that. Say you can a certificate of deposit. What is it? And is it beneficial to us? I mean, if we looking to start some sort of savings or like investment area, is that a good tool that we can use?
So, most people know that's a good question. Certificate of deposit. Most people know it as a CD account. Mostly every bank offers CD account. And normally those products are geared towards somebody who's extremely conservative or somebody who don't want to take no chance or no risk with their money, right? The bank will say, hey, come give us this money, and whether it's a 2-year CD, 5-year CD, 10-year CD, there's another time that you choose on what you want or what's available from the bank. You select, and they'll give you a particular rate of return. But even with that, right, the average rate of return on CD accounts around 2%, right? So now, back to what I was saying earlier, you still not outpacing inflation, right? You might have some banks or maybe some credit unions that might offer you something more, right? But at the end of the day, the question is, what is your opportunity cost? When I say opportunity cost is, okay, this 10K that I put into this CD account, for whatever reason I put it in there for, if I have put into this different vehicle here, what could I have achieved? So if this is going to make me, let's say 1K profit, but if I put into this, could it have made me significantly more, right? It's an opportunity cost. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I can't say, oh, it's a bad investment, or it's a great investment, right? It's a good investment for the particular type of person, right? That just want 100% safety, or don't want to deal with any volatility in the market, but want something a little bit more than what you're getting in their regular bank account. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I said, it's for a particular kind of person. Or you can say, hey, you know what? I want to buy a house in 2 years. Okay. So I can get a CD account for 2 years, right? And it might give me, let's just say 2 to 3%, right? Compared to me, I need my money in 2 years, taking that same money and put it into a regular savings account, giving me 0.05%. You see what I'm saying? So it has its utility depending on what you're trying to do, right? And it really depends on also your goal for that money, right? If it's a quick 1-2 year, then that's about. But to me, it's my personal opinion, right? Like I said, I'm an advisor, but I'm not your advisor. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I have to give advice in generalities, right? So me specifically, I don't think a long-term CD is advantageous, right? Because once again, like I said, the rate of return often do not outpace inflation, right? And also, you put the money in a CD account. Let's say, hey, if it's a 5-year CD, and you realize that, hey, 2 years down the line, man, you know what, man, I'm not really liking the CD because it's not really doing what I need to do. And you try to, take the money out. You have to pay a fee to break this contract, right? You see what I'm saying? So you just have to be very mindful about, what you're trying to achieve and the goal for your money. There has to be a goal and purpose for your money, right? Is it a long term? Is it a short term? Is it a midterm? You have to have an idea of what you're trying to do. So, like I said, any investment, right, to a particular person could be a good investment if they thoroughly understand what that investment is supposed to do. right? Or if they have a plan, as to why they want to invest in a particular vehicle. Like I said earlier, one investment that may be very good for me may not be very ideal for you,
Yeah.
right? Because we may be in completely different stages of our lives. We may have a completely different financial backing. You might have more liquidity than I do, or vice versa, right? You may have, a lot more responsibilities, children, house, whatever it is, more than another person, right? So the investment choices may differ based on different circumstances and different, responsibilities you may have going on in your life. But at the end of the day, in a nutshell, a CD may be a decent or good short term, way if you need money, within a year or two, to get a little bit of interest compared to what you get in a regular bank account. But for long term, I don't think it's very advantageous. So hope that
Right.
answered that question.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Doc. And what we are trying to do right now is to give out like different options. Because you have some people that are risk averse. I mean, they don't want to take any risk at all. It's more like, okay, this is my $1,000. 10 years to come, I want to see that 10,000, that $1,000. So that fear of going into the stock market, like you rightly said, depending on individual, what are you trying to achieve with that money? Is this something that I'm setting this money aside for retirement, or is this something that I'm setting this money aside for a down payment on a house, or even for my kids' college? If that's the case, that actually determines where this money needs to go to, where you need to put this investment. So it's a very good. One of the things, as Doc said, a CD is very popular out there. Banks in no, like he said, offers CDs. So we will be a wustro say we lose you sika. We encourage you, say you try that. At least you are starting something. And as you get more comfortable, you can move from CD to another vehicle, like you mentioned seed, it has its disadvantages near there. So some of the disadvantages, they will tell you, so yeah, you put this money in anytime you want, you can come in and you take your money out near there. Yes, you're liquid. However, bear in mind, once you break that 9-month CD or 12-month CD or whatever the month is, you lose a percentage of the interest that you have accrued, so far. You lose a percentage of it. So it's pretty much like putting your money under your mattress. It pretty much didn't earn you anything. So this is why and the interest rate, on the so yeah, very, very minimal. It's not something huge. What to grow it in the long run. And one of the things I think that we're coming close to our time, but we'll pick when so up. One of the things that people also do as outside the CD, it's bonds. Bonds. So if you can help us, pretty much understand a little bit of bonds, what they are, and also, in the long run, is this something that will help us, or is it on the same level as CD?
So that's a good question, right? I guess the question is, are bonds similar to CD accounts, right? Or
Yes.
savings deposit, right? So there are some similarities, right? Because between both a bond and a CD account, there's a fixed interest payment, right? On those.
Yeah.
Now, with CD accounts, on a consistent basis, the interest that the banks pay are a little similar, right? And obviously, between banks and bank, they might have some different incentives or different increase, whatever it is. But generally, the interest paid on CD accounts are fixed and often don't go above a certain threshold, right? Now, you can have bonds, as I mentioned, right? Bonds also pay a fixed interest, but depending on the market, you can get different bonds paying at different interest rates, right? You can get short-term bonds, mid-term, intermediate bonds, or long-term bonds, right? And obviously, a bond is like a debt that you own money to a company, and they issue you a bond, and they pay you a fixed interest on that bond for a period of time, right? And there are different kind of bonds that you can get, right? You can get corporate bonds, you can get junk bonds, you can get municipal bonds, you can get there's different I bonds. I mean, there's so many different kind of bonds that you can get. The idea here is, once again, is a lot of times people who are risk averse will go for the bond route, because bonds have a guaranteed and a fixed rate of interest that a company will pay. Now, once again, anytime you trade in safety for risk, you're obviously getting less of an interest, or whatever it is on that bond, right? But in any given market, a bond can be a very good investment, because at the end of the day, it's a way that a lot of investors control volatility, right? So if you look at the ideal portfolio, right? You want to, no matter how risky of an investor you are, you want to have a bit of bonds in that portfolio, right? Because the bonds help to be able to control the volatility, and the bonds are oftentimes 3 to 4 times less riskier than what you get in a stock, right? And also, let's say the company goes bankrupt, right? The first people to get paid, they'll pay somebody that's a bondholder faster than they pay a stock holder. Because why? When you invest in a company through the stock route, you are now taking up part ownership in a company, saying that wherever the company go, I'm willing to go. You see what I'm saying? So there is no guarantee. So the company goes south, you're going south. You see what I'm saying? But with a bond, if the company ever defaults, they'll pay a bondholder first before they pay a stockholder, right? So there's some advantages to a bond, that you may not get with other, type of investments. And also, if you're looking at, a market where the interest rates are going down, or in a negative interest rate, you see what I'm saying? Like, let's just say in a recessionary period, or, the market is crashing, whatever it is, right? In certain markets, a bond can do very well, because why? Why do you care? Because somebody that's holding a stock might be getting maybe a negative, their investment might be going down, but you have a fixed rate of return. So you're happy, right? But with the same token, in a market that's booming and doing very well, if you have a fixed income, let's just say 4%, and somebody's stock or a mutual fund or ETF portfolio is earning 10, 15, 30%, you stuck at 4. You see what I'm saying? So depending on what market you're in, a bond can be very advantageous, right? But in a booming market, it may not be as advantageous. But at the end of the day, it's still a good piece of the pie when it comes to your investment, right? You want to have, like I said, municipal bonds. For example, like, let's just say you're somebody who is a high, income earner, right? And you are very, you are very sensitive to taxes, because obviously the higher, the more money you get paid, you're in a higher tax bracket, which affects how much tax you pay, right? So like, now, if you're looking for an investment that will kind of, help you to be able to control your taxes, a municipal bond, right, might be a good way to go, because at the end of the day, municipal bonds, you may be able to avoid further tax on that, because those bonds are issued by cities and states and those things. And those things they're very strong, because why? At the end of the day, they are backed by what? Taxes. So if the state is having issues paying their bonds, they can raise taxes or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So you have a lot of security compared to, just say, a corporate bond. And a corporate bond, okay, the company, let's just say, goes out of business or default. Although you are still in top of the top in the important parts who get paid, you still may not get paid, depending on how severe the bankruptcy is. You see what I'm saying? You might have a junk bond. That's even worse than a corporate bond, right? The junk bond is a company that's an up and coming company. They don't have a lot of back end, but they are desperate to be able to grow their company. So they might issue a junk bond, but guess what? Those junk bonds are going to pay you a much higher interest compared to a municipal bond or corporate bond, right? So some people have some junk bonds in their portfolio, right? Now, like I said, if the company goes out of business, somebody that's a corporate bond holder or municipal bond holder will get their money faster than somebody that was a junk bond holder. So I mean, you just have to understand what you're kind of getting yourself into. But to kind of get back to your question between CD account and a bond, investment, like I said, there's some similarities, but for the long term, I prefer a bond compared to a CD, or even for short term, you might be able to maybe get like a 2-year bond, a 5-year bond. They're gonna pay you more than what you get for a 2-year CD or 5-year CD. So I hope that gave some detail to that question.
Oh yeah, it did. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc. And one of the things, what is it? Yeah, TF4. No, we want to also emphasize, and it's when it comes into investment, there is not one thing we need to invest in. On say, I just a bucket, and that bucket, we have so many things that goes in. Into we awake a crack. No, why awake a crack? No, why awake a crack? No, why awake a crack? So you have cases where one of them will be doing well, the other is not doing well, but this will help to balance it off. Oh, yeah, I can't bonds the I can't bonds, yeah, I can't see this. Yeah, so yeah, where you CD, yes, it is safe, it is less risky, yeah, but the interest rate, is so minimal, sir. Sometimes you don't even see the effects of your growth. I wonder, what is really going on? What am I doing? But when you come into either government bonds, corporate bonds, or municipal bonds, they tend to give you like a higher rate kakra. So you end up saying, even though you are not making enough on the CDs over here, but you are making extra also on the bonds over here. So it kind of compensate each other, and it has to offense a balance nihna off. And enyumere yada yina yasi baby utie yen free bia no yabomoden last week yaka about the difference between savings and investment. Some of the risk involved in each of them, and then so started call into details, giving some examples of things that we can invest in or save in. One I touching on CDs, you touch on bonds near there. Nyame adomwa next week, say nyame de yankwache besan aba na ya present some other investment vehicles be and so out there. So we will be one started say will be invest here. Look, getting all this information, you can make an informed decision and decide what you want to do. Inti dog, you have one your last closing to our viewers,
But therefore, yeah, kind of a brave, so as always, the hope said you guys will take the information. Now, much me, so when the first time now, TBM over and over and over until it said I didn't make it sense, man. Because it makes sense now. We bet my yes, some smart financial decisions. I bet my boy party. As always, as we covered before, you share the information, just out of the goodness of our hearts. Hopefully, we can be able to add value to you guys to help you be able to achieve, better financial future. So. I really hope and pray so you guys can take the information very seriously because it can really make a difference in your life. So that's it.
All right, thank you so much, Doug. Into your for Yadamwase, saying you munya daje na money a program where the stress and yami and share until next week. Who any questions or anything so far no day I can't want some na. Yes, next week you can bring that questions na until say be next week, Yamin share so. To Doug, yeah, be blessed.
Well, be blessed. All right, bye.
All right.